स्ट्रीम किया। हाँ हाँ हाँ। अभी मैंने, हाँ आ गया लगता है, देखिए अभी चेक कीजिए। ना अभी की अभी, हाँ या हाँ या यही है। सो अभी, अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, ओके। सो थैंक यू अभी। ओके, आई विल स्टार्ट। ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच, थैंक यू अतुल, थैंक यू, बाय बाय। सो थैंक यू। सो सबको मेरा नमस्कार। सो आई वेलकम यू ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ यूएन चेस एकेडमी to this introductory lesson and about chess strategy. This is FIDE senior trainer Shekhar Sahu, and I have been a coach for last 35 years, and I played for the country many times and have a lot of experience. So I would like to share my experience, knowledge and understanding of chess with you. So regarding the chess strategy, there are certain things that the player gets positional advantage. What is positional advantage and what is advantage? I'll explain to you. Now, in the given position, black has got a lot of material advantage. I mean, he has three minor pieces versus white's one piece, and white one piece is also not, which is immobile. I mean, there is just a vast superiority. But white has added advantage that the black knights are very poorly placed. I mean, one of the knight, he just cannot come out. So, if the pieces are free, black was winning the game. He will just bring a knight to c7 and capture a8 and easily win. But he cannot free. For example, let us imagine he will play bishop d3. So he will just wait with king b8. Now you will support the bishop to free the knight. Again you come king. So the knights cannot be free. So it is a draw. Even though there are two extra pieces, black cannot do anything. So these are called some positional features. Okay, I will take you to some other position. Let us say I clear the board. Now let us say we have a king here and black king, and there is a bishop here and two rooks. Now you can see white has one bishop, black has two rooks. But the pieces are tied down, and no matter what black will do, he cannot win the game. Now he cannot move the rook. The rook is lost, and any king move, the bishop is winning the rook. So the extra piece and the material superiority is of little use here. So I will show you some other positions where the extra material is of no use. Okay, now coming to the game, I have selected some positions for you. For example, now this particular position, we have material equality. Both have two pawns, but white has a positional advantage of a protected pass pawn. The white pawn on g5 is protected, so he can go easily and go for the a7 pawn and win leisurely. Black can never come to g4 because the g pawn will win faster. So this is an advantage, positional advantage. So in end game and there are in middle game there are certain features that helps you, like a possibility of stalemate or a theoretical drawn position. So this position is winning despite equal material. So let me show you some positions. Since you are already intermediate player, I will not take much time. Now this position, the material is equal. But black has disadvantage of the double pawn. White has 3-2 on the king side. So white is winning the game. He has to create a pass pawn. So pawn f4 takes. Now the king will come much faster and winning the game. So this is easy win because 2-1 I will create a pass pawn and winning is easy. Black cannot create a pass pawn. So these are positional superiority. The positional superiority only counts in middle game and end game. So let us have some more quick look at some positions. Now this position, black has a vast superiority of material. But this is no more than a draw because there is a wall he has created. White has built up a fortress. I mean the black can never enter. So white will just oscillate. सिर्फ घूमते रहेगा. King a2, b1, a1 घूमते रहेगा. Draw. There is no pressure black can put. So the king cannot enter the area. So even though material superiority, white has a positional, equilibrium. So let us look at some more positions. Okay, this position, the material is equal. But white to play, white wins the game just by playing rook to 7th rank. Now simply the king is cut off and white will just come. Now he has to support. He has to support. Just the king comes up and winning easily, winning easily. Or maybe here and entry and winning easily. So it is, these are called positional advantage. So based on this, the chess strategy is made on certain points. The first world champion, he put some principles about the first player to set some principles about the strategy. The number one is king. If the king is lost, the game is lost. So the player must be very careful about his king in opening and middle game. In the end game, the king becomes active because there is no danger of getting mated. So in end game, king becomes a piece itself and very active. But in opening and middle game, the king must be extremely careful. So about king position, about center, about open line, about pawn structure and active pieces. These are the main strategic points, and based on this, the positional factor comes. And there are some, other components like a double bishop, a backward pawn, or isolated pawn, or you can say weak square, unprotected pieces, or a trapped piece. So these are positional factors. Now the position is winning. Now I want to show you some more positions before I go to the main strategy discussion. Now this particular position, I mean, white has a pass pawn which is blocked. So black seems to have a mobile king side pawns. He will push f5. Now white must be very careful to equalize. So white must play f4 push. Now we need to block our knight. The knight belongs here. Thereafter white is fine and white will have a good game. So this is important. I mean, you can find, in a Sasniko variation, those who are advanced players, they will know that Sicilian Sasniko variation. I refer the game, white is tall, black is Sasniko. He played the 7th knight d5, getting some mobile queen side, but then gradually king side he blocked the pawns. So you can see that this is necessary about a blockade. I will call you later, when class में. 7:30 के बाद 7:30 के बाद मिलेंगे. So here, this is good. This is a good position now. But I will bring the knight and then block it. This is fine. So let us go some more positions. Since you are advanced players, I will not take much time because these are easier for you. Now this particular position, normally standard strategy we should castle, double up and then go for it. But the position is closed and white has an excellent coordination, go for it. I mean, in fianchetto position like dragon or King's Indian defense of semis variation. So here the h4 is good. Idea, I want to play h5 and then my plan is to play their attack and then h line I will open up. The king is safe. There is no danger to the king. There is no check or any open file or diagonal to give attack. So h4 is good and black must stop that plan. But then g4. I am not worried about little material because after this there is complete destruction. You cannot remove the knight and I will open the h file and all my pieces will filter. So we need to act at exact time when there is opportunity. Opportunity does not keep coming. So we need to exploit when the opportunity is ready there. And that brings us to many puzzles. So most of the youngsters, they have been very good with puzzles and tactics. So what I am going to focus more on strategy and some opening report. Most of my lectures will be on end game and middle game. Okay, let's go some positions more, then I go to strategy. Look at this position. Now if you see, the material factor is equal. Both have 2 rook queen and 2 rook queen and 5 pawns each. But it is white to play that decides this. One move. So just it is made queen into rook and finish. I mean forced a check, the right check. Again rook c8 check is wrong. So this is the right check and unstoppable. The knight is unstoppable. There will be 1 or 2 checks but makes no sense. You will lose the queen or something. There is no point. So you can see that equal material but having the move is a big advantage. It is like two people having gun and who has the move, he wins the game. So it is important that having the move is a big advantage in chess. And we can see the strong and weak points on both sides and work accordingly and plan accordingly. Now I will give a similar position. This is Alekhine versus somebody, and now I will give a position Kasparov Karpov. Okay, next one. A similar situation, I will go directly to the position to save time. Now this position, White played Queen A4. Now White played Rook D1 supporting, and White attacked Queen G. The position is very critical. Now, now Black mechanically played this and lost the game. Like the last example, like Alekhine and a Winter, I think, Queen into. And now after the check, now Bishop check. So only square, pawn G6, reasonable move, pawn G6. You can't give the queen. After pawn G6, he has won two moves, and this bishop is also lost because if you try to go bishop here, another knight is lost. You can't take that knight, mate. So you can see the typical position of king counts a lot, and many times who has the move. Both were in a position black to play wins or white to play wins. So it depends on the position also. This move, this careless move, lost immediately. Let's have some positions again. Now this particular position, the three connected pawns, and it is now rolling. Rook is behind. The position looks hopeless for white, and white can save the game. I will make a small change. Suppose the rook is here. Black is winning the game. White to play, white cannot save. But the rook is in the wrong place. That is why it is draw. We will find out why. Now knight into pawn. He will try to queen. Now knight check. Of course, you can see this is a checkmate. So he will come here. Knight check comes to e8. Knight check. Now you cannot go to d8. Checkmate. Whereas if the rook was on b8, you can go to d8 and win in the game. You see, typical situation. Only because the rook is here, he is forced to take a draw. Otherwise, you will lose the game. Repetition of move, draw. No progress. Knight here, back this, draw. So, that the specific, typical method of repeating repetition of moves and stalemate possibilities and some theoretical drawn positions. Let's see. In a quick succession, I want to show you few positions. Now, this particular position. Now, in my opinion, this position is roughly equal. I mean, white can play move like a3, and you can bring rook to d1 and play move the so simple moves. A3, rook d1 is normal move. Even rare rook d1 is a good move. But white played a bad move. White wants to attack. No, white wants to attack now. Why? He wants to drive this. Thereafter, I will have a very strong position. So, this is bad because one king position is weak. Now, normally a flank attack is countered by central move. Imagine white has castle long, everything will be different. Because in long castle, the king will be safe and you can advance the pawns. But now it will boomerang. Now he will suffer. For example, now black wants to hit the center. It is a common phenomena when white or any player goes on a flank attack, opponent should blow the center, counter attack on center. लेकिन सेंटर में कैसा करेंगे अभी नाइट इज वॉचिंग द पॉइंट सो फर्स्ट यू ड्राइव द नाइट हैज टू मूव okay and then e5 now if you play pawn into pawn all the attack is gone the pawn phalanx the storming is no more there so he has to push the pawn he has to push idea he wants to play g5 but only if you give time I will play d5 if you play g5 I am going to take. Now if you play pawn into pawn, I will play e4, counter attack. Now this is not working. You will take f3 and you take, now you will take. Now the king is more exposed. The king is safe. This is just very bad position for black. So it is important to keep in mind certain motives. By the way, modern chess has developed so much and it is more or less become a science. Earlier we used to think in our time The end game is like a science. There will be no change and there is only method of playing. However great player, he cannot do anything great. You have to confront the position and play whatever the method applies. But now even the middle game they are treating. Opening is also too much. There is advancement. Even the middle game also likes typical methods. So the central blow is necessary when somebody goes on flank. The game continues. Suppose here. So now e5. Now he plays g5 and d4. So you play whatever g5. So I take. Or you take pawn into pawn. Also this is bad. You take pawn into pawn. E4 will come. The position is not good now. Not good position. Black is better. So I am showing you typical positions, how we can react. Now I will go to the introduction of strategy. Just a minute. Okay, this particular position. Now, player must be extremely careful. For example, white played carelessly attacking. There is nothing wrong because after pawn push, you will exchange e6 pawn is weak. That is what he meant. But a sudden counter attack and white has to resign. A sudden counter attack. Now you take the rook, you get mated. You lose the queen first. And if you take the pawn, you get mated. This check will lead to mate. So a player must be extremely careful about his own weakness, own king position. For example, I give you two more examples. I give you two more examples on this. Let us say, this particular position. White is attacking 1, 2, the pawn is lost. But he cannot take the pawn. Now if you take rook into pawn, there's queen here, game over. Because there is a mate threat, back rank, and suddenly it is double attack. So a player must be aware of his own weakness. If there is a weak point, you should first set it right. Then only you should go. So a player cannot go. Now for example, he could have played here, maybe he could have played here something like a g3 is possible, even s3 is possible. I don't see even queen, rook and knight is okay. So, but not rook into, because the suddenly queen comes and double attack, back rank and the piece is lost. So, before capturing material, a player should see his own weak points. Otherwise, it will be boomerang. So, let us have a look at next game also, same thing. It happened between two legendary players, former world champions. Now, look at this particular position. No. Yeah, look at this position. White is Alekhine and black is Bogolju. Now, shall white take the pawn? It looks no problem because none of the black piece is guarding. It looks harmless, but this is lost because the back rank is weak. This is the problem. Now back rank is weak. Now he is threatening the bishop as well and the rook as well. Whatever you cannot support both. Lost. So a player must always be alert about his own weakness and have the sense of danger. Now let me go to some more positions. Let's have a look at. Next. Now look at this position. This is very simple. Now, for example, when you are attacking player will find it immediately. For example, you want to give a capture, but then if queen is there, it is leading to mate. Who is obstructing? The bishop. That means you just move the bishop. Finish. This is coming with a tempo. Tempo means I am giving a threat, and he has to meet the threat. So I have time to bring the queen immediately. So he cannot give the queen. So if he moves any queen move, rook takes pawn and finish. So these are the things a player must be alert about his king position, about mobility. So open line and center and king position, these are all very, very important. Activity of the pieces. Let's have a look at some positions then. Let's look. Okay. First I want to show you position Zapata versus Miles. Zapata Miles. This position. Okay, I go to the opening. Opening I skip because it's Sicilian dragon, so I don't want to discuss too much. Now this position. this position, black is little better. White has two bishops, but if the pawn structure is fixed and the bishops don't have much diagonal, then it is knights are better. For example, the mobility of this bishop is not dangerous. Now king is safe here. There is no danger. So at the moment the game started like rook. So he took the pawn and now queen into c. Now the position, if you look into pawn, he can go for this. I mean at the moment bishop attacking. Now rook comes, bishop takes, rook takes. Now rook into pawn is not working. Suppose he plays rook into pawn, you can see easily counter move. Suppose rook into pawn fails to rook check and you take, I will take that. And now I have a superior knight and center pawn should be winning that. Because white cannot push the pawns. His own king will be exposed. If you push the pawns, the own king will be exposed. So the position, what white did, instead of taking the pawn, white found out that this is the problem. This is the one watching. So why not drive that? Now at the first glance, it looks the white is winning because the queen is attacked and you have to support the rook. So I don't think any good way to play. And now rook into pawn is coming and you are in trouble. So rook into pawn check and then you take the bishop. But there is a big difference. The king position. The point is now many times till even great world champions also sometimes rarely of course they forget while going for material or trying to exploit a positional advantage, they forget about their own king position. Now the king position of white is bad and knight and queen is a wonderful rejoinder. They are very good team, knight and queen. So black ignored the threat of queen. Black played rookie. Of course, you can see this will mate into knight check, rook check, mate, king move. So this beautiful move was overlooked by Grandmaster Zapata. So he played now rook into. So of course, I will defend. He cannot take the queen. Now he starts pushing the pawn. Idea, I want to push. Once again on the board, white looks better because now black queen is under attack and the pawn is rolling. The black you cannot play rook into pawn. Bishop into queen is coming, and the pawn is rolling very quickly. But still, the black played with a great, imagination and showing his strength of the queen and knight, mating attack. Rook into rook, must take. Now you cannot take with the queen. If you take with the queen, then I think I will have queen d4 check, and the bishop will be in trouble, and there is no problem. I can play even knight. So he took with the bishop. But now pin. Rook attacks. Now he tried to exchange them. Never mind. Take. The queen and knight is better than queen and bishop. So pawn push starts pushing. Once again on the board, white looks better. Once again he creates threat. Now my threat is to give a knight check and pick up the bishop with check. So he has to make support. No other defense. Otherwise you lose the pawn. Suppose you play queen f3, you lose the important a5 pawn. So only move. But then pawn push. Now another threat is coming. You queen in 3 moves, but I will give mate. I will give mate after pawn push and queen check and some knight check and it is finishing. So he comes here. Check. He comes here. Now push. The simple threat of pawn push. You cannot create threat on the black king. So he comes here. Now the threat of pawn e2. So only move. Now pawn push. He must give the piece. Only move. Now queen and knight pair. The pawn has stopped. Suddenly you can see that queen and knight and the black has center pawn, pass pawn also. So he comes. Now ability to create mating threats. Queen check. You cannot exchange queen. Now knight. With the idea, knight coming to c5 and a queen a4 mate. With the idea, I want to come in c5 and give a mate on e4. So only move. Mate threat. The only move. I don't see any other moves possible. But then queen into pawn and winning the end game. So you can see that it was looking hopeless. But because of the bad king situation of white, black managed to achieve whatever he wanted. So I will give some more positions. Let us say the position between, I will see, what is this one, Larson and Sachs. Let me tell you that chess strategy is basically on five, six important factors. Number one is king position. A player must be aware about the mating nets, about the threats on the king, the safety of the king. So, king position is very important. If the king is bad or get matter, all you may have a lot of material or lose the king. Number one. Number two, center. So, center is very important. And about the center, I want to show you. Now, let us have a look. Just a minute here. Now, you can see this is broader center. Where is this? Yeah, here. The position, you can see the red, the marked red is center, the four important squares, and the green is outer center. Center and outer center. If a player can control center, he is controlling the game. And if you can establish a place in outer center, also very good. So both are important. Center is more important. So all the openings and the middle game is designed to struggle for the center. So after the opening, we plan how to take domination in center. So all the opening, say French or Caro-Kann or Sicilian or Royal Lopez, these are the four main openings in King Pawn or Nimzo Indian or Grunfeld. Everything is designed struggle for the center. So I will discuss about central superiority, how to fight for center. So I will come to that later. But please just make a note. This is a very important strategic point. So number one, king. Number two, center. And number three is control of open lines, open files, open diagonals. These are very, very important. Many times, just I told you a position that bishop b5 and queen h5, open line. So number four is about pawn structure. If the pawns are double bad, you will suffer in endgame. So you should avoid unnecessary weakening of the pawn structure. And finally the activity of the pieces that also counts. So you may have everything good, but opponent pieces are active, so he will win the game. Now a player should be aware, apart from the strategic understanding, a player should be aware of other components like weakness of color complex. Color. Suppose a player is dominating the white square, he is having better position. Or a player having dominating the black squares and has the initiative. That is important. Having initiative and complete control of a particular color as color complex. Let me show you game. One game, a great attacking game, also about color complex. Let's check it out. The game white is former world champion Anatoly Karpov and black is Zula Sachs. Hungarian grandmaster passed away. Was a good friend of mine. So here, Sicilian Scavengers, very respectable line. So now there are many lines. You can play four, which is called Tal attack. You can play B to B3 like regular Scavengers and Boleslavsky type. You can play here Bishop C4 Sozin attack or Rouser attack. But this is Keras attack. This is very good. Keras attack is actually respectable and it is valid till today. So White wants a quick space on the king side and drive the knight from center. Other lines are knight c6. This is also reasonably well. Development putting pressure. So, well, this is an established line, no problem. Very safe line. So, play rook g1 because you even if you play h4, you can't play g5. The rook is unprotected. That is why rook g1 with the idea I want to play h4 at g5. So, b3. Now, queen e2. Idea. Why queen e2? Because when I do long castle, the rook will be against the queen. That is one of the important factors. So queen e2. And also, why queen d2 is bad? Because your queen d2, there could be problem on f3 many times. Many times there could be a problem. You see, that is the reason queen e2 is a safer square, guarding the f3 square as well and bringing the rook against the queen. So, bishop takes e5. So black has got some counterplay on center. Now pressure on center. So he plays queen d3. He is refusing to play f3 because after f3 black will get time. Now here the putting pressure. d5 is very well controlled. So castle. This is a theoretical position. So knight into. Now the point is black is sacrificing temporarily because he will play d5, d4, getting the piece back. Now black is getting the piece back. But except now the point is if you are losing the piece, then why unnecessarily get into trouble and play passively? So white is looking for counter attack. Okay. So the material factors will equal. And if you look at the position, black has very important weak point. I told you, number one, the king position. The king is cannot castle. Rook is watching the square. The king cannot castle long. And if you castle this side, the black pawns and rooks are waiting. Just go for storming and attack. So castling king side is very dangerous. He cannot castle on the queen side. So apparently white has an advantage of king position. Now the planning. He plays threat. So you castle. I told you castle is just bad. G5, G6 will come killing. So and you can do F6 also. The bishop check will come and finish. If you play this, this is finished. I mean bishop G6. I mean, this is finished. And now you will have a very bad position. So you can't do that. And you castle also bad. If you castle, that also turns out G5 attack. So here black played rook F8. Defend. That means the king is stuck in the center. Now, our motive is to attack the centralized king, uncastled king. So, how do we do it? If there are knights are there, so we can bring, but there is no minor piece to support the attack at the moment. So, storming the pawn does not fetch anything. It doesn't fetch. So, white found a very genius idea. That advantage of color complex. So, give the rook and take the bishop. So normally bishop attacks the rook and you run away. But now rook is coming in front of the bishop. Welcome. You take my piece, rook. Be my guest. You cannot decline that. Now if you go back passively, that is bad. Suppose you go back passively, I double. How long you will decline? I have taken the file. Next BB5 and thereafter I will win material and win the game. So you cannot do that. You have to accept it. So rook. Now, the point is, white dominates all the white squares on the board now. There is no white color bishop. And now the king cannot castle. And apart from the coordination is not there. So, black tried to defend. Black is a very strong GM. So, rook e8 to bishop. Otherwise, if you play RD1, he may return the piece. So, it comes. Now, want to exchange pieces. So, we want to attack. So, we want to avoid further liquidation, further exchanges will reduce the chance of attack. So C3. Unwillingly, because king side is weak, but you can't help it sometimes. So forced. Goes back. Now, of course, we can win material. We can take bishop takes pawn, b5 and queen into, but the attack will go. So here, maintaining. So bishop must move back now. Okay. Now, I don't want to play queen exchange. I don't want to play bishop into b5. Check. The king will come to e7, everything is fine. Now queen exchange is bad, your white is exchanged down, and after bb5, the king will come and then there is no attack and that black will start counter attack. So here the point is, when you have color complex, you should go for initiative. For all practical purpose, it is like an extra piece because the bishop is useless in the struggle. The bishop will play no role. So rook coming to center, queen coming first. So king is 7. It appears black is consolidating and he is improving inch by inch. Everything is okay. But now the king in trouble. Great Karpov found bishop c5. Now if you take the queen into pawn check will come, and after that I will take the bishop and 3 pieces will attack the black king mercilessly. So in the game, we played bishop c5, it took check, now check, take it. You want to run away, finding hide behind the king. So what do I do now? Now You must not allow the king to go safely. Give a queen check. So come out, come to the open. Now queen into pawn check. Again he tries, again queen check. Again, but this time the file is open, so rook will check. Now rook is coming. The decisive threat of discover attack. I want to play bishop to c4 when you cannot do any rook interpose anything. Bishop into pawn, anything is win. So in the game, he played rook. Bishop check. Now you have to go king d8. Once again, it looks like that black has settled and he is out of danger. Not really. Bishop into pawn. Now bishop. So he need to, you cannot run away. The king cannot run away. So you want to dislodge. Queen ko bhagao, then king andar chala jaye. Ye diagonal se bhagao. So he wants to drive the queen. Okay, fine. Now king. The point is, it appears the check is harmless. At the moment, the check is harmless. So again, queen will come. Nothing is happening. But once again, Karpov played miraculous, marvelous rook coming. What a move! What a move! Already exchanged down and giving another heavy piece. But this is leading to mating net. You surrender the queen or get mated. Unfortunately, the queen cannot move b6, queen 8 will lead to checkmate. Pakka mate. So queen check, queen b8, bishop, some check, queen a6 check or queen into mate. So the only move. Now king in, not dislodging other pieces. It will lead to mate now. Queen check, only move. Queen check, support the queen. King d8 will queen d8, queen g1, the b8 mate. Only move. Queen check, only move, and gets mated. You come here, the check, come here, bishop check will give you. So what I mean to say, an example of color complex, example of going to attack when the king in center. So this is a brilliant game. I mean, one of the rare games that Karpov goes for all-out attack. But when forced, one can always do that. Now let me show you some more examples. Let me take you. Okay. This position, white is Grandmaster Ivanchuk, black is Indian GM Negi. A very popular Sicilian master. Too much of theory in this. So he plays a simple move, b3, and want to play now g4. This is a line developed in about in early 2000, 20th, 21st century. Now g5. So the pawn is attacked. So black expects that you will play rook g1 or h4 in the line of caress attack. But white ignored that. You take the pawn. You cannot decline the pawn because no counter attack. So you accept it. But now queen d2. Now takes. Now if you take it, then there is a problem on g5. After this, white will hold the edge. Because I told you strategy 5 factors. So the center and the open line is with white now. G file, the center, and that rook will come quickly to D1, plus minus. So you cannot take that, he goes back. Okay, castle. A lead in development. White has a lead in development, a better center, and now white goes for a fantastic move, rook g. Now welcome. Now castle, you are welcome. The fast attack will come. The d6 point is weak, d line, a very fast attack will come. So he plays knight c5, attacking center. Now normal player will play f3 or defending the pawn. But modern grandmaster, it is like a cutthroat business. So they do not leave any opportunity given to them any stage of the game. They are very alert, they focus. So here, instead of defending, he went for attack. Now the point is, if you play pawn into pawn, now the knight remains hanging. You see, the knight remains hanging. That means I can play knight b5. I can play knight b5, getting a pawn and bishop into knight will come, you can't castle. So pawn takes pawn is bad, that will leave the knight unsupported. So he took bishop into pawn. Anyway, knight into pawn, because now the rook and queen against the king. The king in center, unprotected queen, so much. The knight, next move I take bishop into c5. So the knight is dying, so he destroys the castle position, no problem. Now check, only move. And now bishop. Finish again the threat. Again the threat. I want to take and color complex. All the dark squares. So you cannot allow that. The only move. And after bishop into and pawn into, he resigned. Only two moves because now this is a threat and now finish. Cannot do anything about two strong checks, d6 and f6. Unstoppable. No matter he must lose the queen or get mated. So you can see the king position and of course how vigorously he has played. Now it needs lot of courage, giving a pawn. Then after that he gives another pawn. And now he gives another. This is finishing the game. Of course, you need not take. You can take pawn into, but that will allow a bishop into knight. And the d6 pawn in trouble. The b5 pawn in trouble. There is g file. So I want to give you some more positions about the typical advantage in opening stage. Let's see. Let's see Larsen Sachs. Attack and defense. There are two important subjects. Now you can see that black has better attacking chance. Black's white castle position is broken. White castle position is broken. But how do you attack? It's not that easy because he has pair of bishop, and once the bishop develops, then rook will come to center and he will be all right. So before he could consolidate, black tries to induce more weaknesses. I mean this. Now in order to support, you have to push. No other piece. This is risky, very risky. You should not do this. So he tries to do this. What has happened? The square has become weak. That black is going to exploit. So he comes. And again, you see, if you play normal moves, then white will gain time. So he's giving a threat. Don't not giving. You better defend the material. So he defends. And now takes the file. So he comes busy. Basically, this is a natural move, but not really threat because G file will be used by black. So here, when you take, white will move, black will move, and G file he will use. So this is not a threat only. He asks question. If you take, it is bad. Take now, king, knight will come, and the square, the queen will come and enter. Enter. The G line also. G file, rook G8 will come next. So taking is not good. That means you have to return. You have to return. Now, knight. Advantage to black. I will flip the board for a better vision for you. Now, whether you take or not. Now, black played a very interesting idea. If you take the pawn, I am not worried. Then queen will come to e5 and then fast attack will come. So, he stopped queen e5. Now, black wants to enter the king side anyway. So, he plays the king move coming to an unstoppable king and this squares. He can't stop. The game is lost. Lost. Nothing can happen. Another few moves, white will collapse. So it is an important thing. Everything started with that move queen d5, inducing a weakness. If defender ka problem hai, you should not make more weaknesses. Then the burden of defense become much more. So going to some more strategic point about center. You see, I cannot give you a lot of examples of attack on the king, attack center, about structure and open line. So I am showing you only typical positions. Now let us have a look at this particular game. Now this particular position black to play. So obviously you can see that black king has been little bit exposed, but white has not castled. So black has better control of open line. So queen g. Now the point is you castle, you lose material. If you castle, bishop s3 will come and then you have to, white will lose the exchange. So white is forced rather to play g3. Now pinning. The immediate threat is bishop d3, bishop d4. So he has to castle. Now white plays, the black plays bishop. There is a problem now. Now the point is, black pieces are very dangerously placed. 1, 2, 3. The moment you move the rook e1, rook into f2 will win the game. Now you cannot take mate in one, and the attack is just unstoppable. There is a pressure, the queen is coming, rook check is coming, so you cannot move the rook. So here bishop s3, white found a way out. He attacked the queen with the idea, if you normally a player will give a check, otherwise, so in check he will play rook, and I think white is passive, but he can survive. Next plan, white can go bishop to f3 and then bishop g2. Everything is okay in control. But the point is, while trying to save material or gain material, the player forgets about the king position. What we saw in Zapata versus Sachs, Miles. Zapata was only going after material, he forgot his king position. Here, white is trying to save the material and forgets about the king position. Fantastic move came, bishop into takes rook into. Now, if you look at the material factor, white is better. I mean, queen is superior to rook and bishop. But what about the king? What about the king? Three active pieces. So the queen moves. Now bishop, because rook check is meaningless. The player should not give unnecessary checks. Then you will have problem on the bishop. So the bishop goes back long diagonal. He is preparing a simple move. Simple move, pull the bishop, and then rook check will kill him. Simple. I don't think he can do anything about it. So white tried some attacking rook. Okay, I support. Now he comes, then rook check. He move. Just support the bishop. I mean, pull the bishop back. Hopeless position. Okay, whether you take or not, I am giving a mate threat. I am giving a mate threat. He must lose the queen or get mated. Discover check wins the queen. Or if you make a room somewhere, you will get mated. Queen here will lose the queen. Nothing less. So you can see, while trying to think about material, saving the material or winning the material, the player should not forget about his own king position. Compromising king position, everything is gone. So let's have a look at some more positions. We have 15 minutes. We started 6:05. We have 15 minutes. Now let me go to White is former world champion Smyslov, a legendary player, a great technician, great understanding. Inferior defense. No, respectable. Nimzo Indian, Queen's Indian, King's Indian, Grunfeld, Benko Benoni, or Queen's Gambit declined Slav. These are respectable defense, but Budapest is not, because it is losing time. Agreed that center is opened up. Now this is actually the standard move. After knight f3, white gets an advantage with knight f3 or bishop f4. And the latest move is e3, because after knight into pawn, he can play knight s3 with the idea the knight is coming to center. White is plus. Next b2 and knight f4, and white is clearly better. Modern theory. You can see the reference of games of Grandmaster Atali. I would recommend. So instead of playing all this, he plays the Frazovic gambit. This is called Frazovic. The idea that bishop check will exchange lot of pieces, and the pawn will die anyway. The queen is coming actively, but there is a problem that he is behind in development. So white found very nicely. So straightforward. Now you cannot take, because how many moves? The knight has moved 1, 2, and this will be a third knight move. And then you have to lose the bishop move anyway. So he decided to take bishop, knight into, and knight. So a3. Decide. You can't allow b4, b5. So takes. So queen. Now the extra pawn is there. So the whole variation is designed by Smyslov to hang on to the material. So it is queen. Again, this is not the best way, because after this move, he will castle with the idea rook will come. So this is, he will lose the pawn. So with this idea, Smyslov intends to defend next the rook d1 and d5. The rook d1 and d5, and then the pawn is with extra pawn remains. Giving extra pawn to Smyslov, he will beat the whole world against him. So good technician. So castle rd1. preparing to meet RD, R8. So extra pawn. So he plays B3 development because you don't want to play E3, D6 or F6. So he comes E3, bishop, now castle. So white has managed to complete development and extra pawn. So black plays this idea. Want a draw? You go back. I will again attack, or I take the knight and get my pawn. So this is the one to exchange the pieces, or you can repeat. You go back, knight to c6, rook d5, draw. But here Maslov found an ingenious move. He is already a pawn up and center and superior rook c1. Fantastic. Now I am offering the exchange with total domination of the position, extra pawn, center, and too many weaknesses. So he has to take. Now the knight is poorly placed, the pawn under attack. And what center? The center is superior, and our minor pieces are very good, and we can the direct threat. So he played this. Well, other moves are bad. If you play c6 or c5, he will play the bb5 on d6 with a good position. Pawn d6 will come, bb5 will come. So he decided to play this. Go away, or you put knight in pin. So now book e4, I maintain the pawn. Now this is winning because extra pawn on the board. Now it is no material factor is not so much, but huge positional factor. The central superiority and active pieces. Black pieces are bad and passive. Rook at f8, knight at b8. Move, and now knight comes to f5. There is no further explanation necessary. These are no sufficient attack. Is lost. Two pawn up, and there is no sufficient piece to join. Game over. So you can see the typical feature. The player should not go after material, and just initiative is more important. Let me take you to some more games I selected. Let us say the king position I will discuss. Not possible to take today. I will see some more positions. Let us check the game. The position e4 e5. Now a line is not respectable. d4 white gets better. Any variation. So black tries pawn takes with the hoping that I surrender the center, but some pressure and activity. So g6. I think, in my opinion, b2 gets a clear better game for white. b2, knight f6, then castle. Then you can play f4, and you come here. I think this is better for white because the grip and the center is well controlled. The rook can come here. Fantastic question. White stands little better. Very safe way to play. But many times the players are over ambitious. They want to attack. They want to attack the king. They play this with the idea like Sicilian dragon. Now white is treating the position somewhat like Sicilian dragon or King's Indian or Turk. White wants now black castle. So black blows the center. If you do not do anything, once white castles, he will really carry out the plan. Once he castles, then he will start the plan g4, h4, h5 and kill him. So before that, he wants to blow the center. If you want to attack, you need to have 4-5 conditions. So I will discuss in the main lectures how to attack, how to defend, and what is an attacking position. Now here, black blows the center. So of course you need to take it because next move otherwise you will play c5 and d4. So this is you should not allow c5 d4. So you take it. Now want to get a triple advantage. I want to take the bishop. So you have to take the knight. So take the bishop. Well, if you take the knight, the queen would have come here to attack a2. No time for castle. That is bad. Queen d5, a2 attack. You will not get time. So he castles knight into queen into. Now gets a tempo. Rook e8 queen. Now this position actually white is good. Why? You can see white development is better than black. White has got only one piece to develop to connect the roots. The black pieces are passive. and over and above the rook is against the queen. So he just needs one move, bishop c4, its position is plus minus. But it is black to play. That is the difference. The point is, if it is white to play, the position is just very bad for black. But black to play, there is resource. For example, what black wants? Black wants to develop his pieces. At the moment, develop his pieces. That's all. After that, he will be alright. But where to develop? Now there is a problem. The knight comes all the time. A7, c7. So black has to deal with the threat against the queen. So he gives a check. Moves. Now once again, the problem is not over. The weakness is still like, for example, now c7, f7. So black finds a genius queen, stopping the knight. The knight is pinned now. And now the king, your king has to watch the back rank, because you can take some time here multiple times and check. So you cannot do this. You cannot do this. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes, he is winning. So you need to clear. So he comes bishop b5. Okay, again you need to see very careful. Mechanically you do this, you will weaken the d6 square. This is bad because your knight square is gone and d6 is weak. So let's again the careful. Bishop into knight, no problem. Bishop into knight is not a serious issue. So he comes bishop. And now a6. With the idea d5 I solve all my problem. There is restriction. There are few things I will keep discussing in middle game. You know how to improve a position, how to avoid bad exchanges. You have to do good exchanges. If you want to exchange a pawn or a piece, it should be advantage for you. When and where to exchange material, and how to improve the position, and restriction of opponent's pieces, and prophylactic backrank clearance and seeing the threat of opponent. Now the position, why he has played this move? Taking care, restricting the knights to come here. These three pieces cannot come to this point. This is important. And preparing for b5, bb7 also. So the queen is, you see how you can see how to improve the position. The queen check and queen c5. So now he played bishop. Now I think black is now completing development and there is no danger. So because he found out you cannot do any trick as long as the queen is unprotected. So comes. Now development complete. Finally, black has come out of the opening and has a sound position and a strategic plan. The next plan he will start rolling his pawns. Rolling his pawns. This is what he will do. So he started knight e4. Welcome. I don't want to take that because this exchange he will open the flank. So again I tell you, right time, right place. You exchange. If you exchange, my queen will come on the deadly pressure on this. You are welcome to take. Knight g5, f7 attack. Defended. Now I will double the rook. So he comes. Everything is okay. Black is now completed all setup and going for a action in middle game. Now black starts the middle game action. So I think this is a weak move. Player, you cannot advise. I'm just telling it's a weak move because opening white square for no reason. And now the queen and preparing pawn b5 c4. The defect of c3. Now this is a blunder, you know, positional blunder. So you should expect what he expects, that you play mechanical bishop and knight or retreat. So the queen is unprotected. In fact, queen comes here. Now rook attack. So he plays rook and another blunder. Queen into rook and back rank over. Mat. Now it takes mate. Check. Takes checkmate. Leading to checkmate. So what I mean to say, how many good moves he found? First of all, the position was inferior. He found a check and came queen. This is the check and queen c5. Suddenly, he is in the game. From an inferior position, he is in the game. So, after the queen c5 move, again he played the careful moves, knight, not weakening the pawn structure. Again the careful. And now, I think it is all okay at the moment. So, I think I have given a roughly about good position, bad position. So we should know and take decision quickly If you know a good position, bad position, you know this exchange is bad, leading to good position for opponent. This exchange is bad, good because it leads to good pawn structure for myself. So you should know when to exchange a pawn, when to exchange a piece, and where to exchange. So that is also important. So about exchanges, about prophylactic measures. Opponent's pawn storm is coming. I must do something. Opponent giving some tactical threat, I must meet that in advance. Back rank issues or positional threats. So prophylactic moves. This is a second important thing. And also struggle for center. Very important subject I will deal. Then how continuously you should improve our piece position, king position, and formulate a plan. We should go according to the plan. And if opponent makes some change, we should change our plan. Flexibility in the plan. So regrouping. So friends, I will discuss about the strategic point from classic games. So I will give you this month 4 hours on classic games and about 8 hours on opening report time, 5 hours for white and 3 hours for black. It is more or less. I can change it little more here and there. And I will also discuss the other middle game features one by one. So thank you very much being with me. I will discuss the strategic point in at great length because this is not in the scope to give everything in 1 hour. So about uncastled king position, king in center, king castle on opposite side, king castle on same side, when how to build up an attack, all this I will discuss one by one. There are other coaches also, they will also focus on these points. So I will be happy to share my experience and my knowledge with you to improve your game at the quickest possible time. सबको मेरा नमस्कार, टेक केयर, बाय.